So you might be wondering, how can I learn about animal communication? You can. We have got it all within us. It's about tapping into the skill that we've got, enhancing it and learning to trust it. I have to say that trust was the biggest thing for me of all. I was in denial for a very long time. Can you imagine how crazy it is to be at an all-girls Catholic convent school in rural Southern Ireland in the 80s and say, I can hear those cows talking to me. I can hear it in my head. It's just not going to go down well. And I had to learn that what I was hearing and feeling was real, and that the voices in my head were not me going mental. A little bit crazy, yes, but not going mental. And it isn't always voices. Sometimes it's, when I was young, it was a feeling, the feeling of what was happening to the animals. I knew what was happening in the dairy trade, but I couldn't explain it. And I'd say, why are those calves making that cry? It sounds like they've been taken from their mum. And my parents, knowing how sensitive I was like, oh no, I don't think it's that. That's just cows making a noise. I knew it wasn't. And when I went to work on a dairy farm myself, to go and see with my own eyes as an adult, that is what happens. And I knew I could feel it. And feeling is my predominant sense with my abilities. But I do get words. Sometimes I get a little video like plays out in my head, or a picture or pops up into my head. They're all part of my intuitive guidance, and we all have it, except you might not relate it to animals. So how many times have you thought, oh, I just put an umbrella in there, there's no rain forecast, but I'll pop an umbrella in there, and then later on, lo and behold, oh, I needed that. Or how many times have you gone out and you've gone, oh, I thought I needed to pack that in my bag, and I was like, oh, don't be silly. Or what about buying or renting a house? How do you know that one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in your life is the right one? Because of your feeling? So learning, one of the key things is practice, but a big part of it is belief that it is possible. If you're not open to it being possible, then it will, of course it's not going to work. Absolutely not. But if you're open to the possibility that we only use 10% of our brain, and we certainly don't know everything about what goes on in the universe, and you have that open curiosity, that is going to really help you. The other key thing about animal communication is being able to quieten the mind. So we got so used to being really busy and thinking about our to-do list, and have I done that, and I need to be there, and I must post that, and oh, it's someone's birthday, and all this stuff going on in our minds. If we can't quieten that, we will never be able to listen to the gifts that are inside of us. Children do it very, very naturally, and their logical brain hasn't developed. It sort of kicks in between 11 and 14. And once the logical brain kicks in, and us adults, our logical brain is well established, it makes it harder to be open to the possibilities. Children don't have a problem with it. In fact, a lot of children do it quite naturally, or have imaginary friends or invisible friends, or tell you that the animals can talk, and adults tell them that they can't. Don't be silly, you made that up. That can't be true. So that being able to quieten the mind and that trust that it is possible. Being still and setting the intention that you're going to have a good communication is also part of the process. You know that I'm going to have a really good day today, and the day tends to go okay, or oh, it's just going to be one of those days. When you say that, and then what? Another thing happens, and then another thing happens, and then another thing happens. So it's working on those principles. Bruce Lipton, if you're curious about learning a bit more about this, Bruce Lipton is a really fantastic person to look up, because this is his area of expertise. Intention is phenomenal. Now, the other thing is the weird stuff that happens in my work. If you haven't done a little scan of your body before you connect with an animal, how can you know an animal's giving you a message or not? So I know I've got a bit of an ache here at the moment. So if I was going to connect with a dog, I'd be mindful that that's mine, but there isn't anything else going on for me physically, sensations. So if I suddenly got a shiver up my spine, I'd be looking for, is there an injury? Is it that their chakras are out? What's going on energetically or physically? they can give you a sense of what's going on for them. I remember working with a horse and I was literally salivating over this hay, like, oh, this hay is amazing, I really want... What's the matter with you? You don't eat hay. Oh, my mouth is... Is that you? Do you want the really sweet hay? Right, okay. So she'd given me the taste and the desire, like it was a favourite biscuit or something, only it was hay for her. So it's learning to listen with all your senses. And this is something that we're not brilliant with because we don't promote our six senses. Kids get taught at school about the 5 senses. So it's actually opening ourselves up to all of those and connecting with our 6 senses. And there are lots of things that you can do, but a really simple thing to connect with your senses is just guide yourself and take a meditative walk. 10 minutes. You don't have to sit cross-legged and and all the rest of it. You don't have to do that. Have a walking meditation, and for a minute, just focus on your breath. Really connect to your breath. Feel it rushing through your nostrils and your mouth as it comes down into your lungs. Feel it go out of your body. Feel, is it cold as it comes in or is it warm as it goes out? Really tune into the breath. Next, focus on what you can hear for 1 minute. Listen to every sound. Can you hear your breath coming in and out? Can you hear the birds? Can you hear water? Can you hear other people breathing? Can you hear your feet as you're walking? When you practice connecting to your senses, your attention goes on your senses, so the energy goes there. And what happens is you expand the sensitivity of your senses and your connection to your senses. Next, focus on your sense of smell. What can you smell as you're walking? Can you smell the air? Next, move on to what you can feel. You feel the air. You can feel it on your hands. You can feel it coming in and out of your nose. What can you see? Not just like what can you see, but what can you see in the periphery here? What can you sense? So I'll talk about sense on the next slide. So that's a really great practice to be able to start to connect with your senses and trust that your senses are working for you. Our animals haven't got all of this human baggage that we've got, so their senses are amazingly powerful. And the only reason ours aren't, apart from the fact that our noses aren't built the same way and our hearing isn't built the same way, but that we don't use them, we don't engage with them as much, especially in the digital age. And I know that people here aren't necessarily digital addicts, which is a great thing, but the children of this generation definitely are having those problems. So encourage people you know to connect with their senses and learn to use them to increase your intuition.